There seems to be different views about whether parents have more power than their children or not. And in today's video, I am telling my honest point of view about the parent-child power dynamic and how it plays out in real life. I also talk about how to have real influence, how to model fair behavior, and how to maintain a healthy outlook on power. For those of you who are new, hi there, I'm Vilma. I'm a mother of two, and I'm here to tell you my honest point of view on all things parenting. I have created this channel because I want to create a supportive community of parents through real, honest, and relatable conversations. So to answer the question whether parents are in a position of power when compared to their kids, I have some questions for you. Who do you think is stronger physically, the parent or the child? Who do you think has more advanced cognitive abilities, the parent or the child? Who do you think is more developed emotionally and socially, the parent or the child? Now, if you answered the parent to all the above questions, I think it's pretty obvious that it is the parent who has more power in the parent-child relationship. So for me, that sets it, but it doesn't mean that you as a person are more valuable than your child just because you have more power. It also doesn't mean that your point of view is the only one that is valid. So for me, it's not whether parents have more power than their children. For me, that's pretty obvious that we as parents, we do have more power, but it's really the question of how we use the power that we have when we interact with our children. So parents want to guide, influence, sometimes even have a very tight control over their child's behavior. But with these different frameworks come very different outcomes on how we as parents actually use the power that we have in practice. With great power comes great responsibility, and I think when exercising power, even if it's in a work setting, but most definitely with your kids, I think it's important to reflect on your own values and beliefs and think about what kind of culture do you want to create and what do you want to teach. So do you want to teach your child that they have to respect authority at all costs? Or would you like to teach them the deeper meanings behind things? Do you want to show your child that if they don't do what you say, they are less lovable in your eyes? In fact, you might even want to get them out of your sight for a while when they're having a hard time or when you're having a hard time together with your child. Or do you want to teach them that even if and when they do make mistakes, because we all do, they are not less lovable. In fact, they are still lovable and we can work things through together. Some parents, actually quite a lot of parents, want to gain control over their children using fear-based tactics such as isolation or yelling, even physical violence, to get their children do what they want. And in all honesty, I also need to admit that I have been there. I have used isolation in a form of timeouts to bring a message across to my toddler because I felt and we were taught that otherwise she doesn't, get the lesson. So we would put her on timeout after she did something. And it would help in the moment. It would bring short-term relief to the situation. We all got a break, and I think that's still very important. But it didn't bring any long-term effects. It didn't matter how many times I took her on timeout, she would still keep doing the same stuff. Or if I raised my voice, yes, I would get her attention because she would be like, oh, mommy's really serious now. But it just ends up me having to raise my voice more and more often. So it's not an effective strategy long term. However, if you want to have real long-lasting influence on your kids, you don't need control. What you need is connection. And a way to build connection with your child is to listen to them. Try and understand the core reason behind their behavior. Take their point of view into account and really value them as their own separate person who has wildly different goals than you do at times, with their own feelings and emotions and point of view. Still, as a parent, you are more powerful and it is your job to set firm, healthy boundaries. I actually made a separate video on how to set healthy boundaries, so make sure to check that one out after watching this video. But for the sake of this video, I can just say you can still be a firm parent who sets non-negotiable boundaries and still be warm and loving and still listen to your child and take their perspective into account and validate their feelings and emotions. You can do both. So to have real influence, you need connection and communication. And what you also need to see the kind of behavior in your children that you want to see is to model that kind of behavior for them. So if you don't want your kids to be yelling, you should be quite mindful about the way you use your own voice. If you don't want your child to hit some other people, you need to be mindful of not using physical violence in your house. A very personal one for me is to model how we show mercy to people who have made a mistake, because we all make mistakes. But I have kind of internalized throughout the years from my childhood, I believe, this idea that I have to be perfect, and I am quite a perfectionist. I have gotten better over time, but I still need some work. But how do we show mercy when our kids spill their water? Do we react in a way that, oh no, I've told you so many times, you're never careful, you know, now the water is on the floor, maybe the glass broke, and now we have to, you know, clean it up, and you're making mom really angry. Also talking in third person, which I really should stop. Or nowadays I do this more and more, that I say, oh, okay, well that happened, how can we fix this? How can we clean it? Then my toddler might say, well, could you give me paper and I'll clean it up, and then we clean it up together. But this is really about what I want to teach my children. Do I want to teach them that when a mistake happens, we're going to find out whose fault it was and, you know, focus on shaming them and making them fearful and hoping that that helps them not to do that again? Or do we want to focus on problem solving together? And I would really prefer the latter one, so this is something that I'm working on personally. So because kids learn by observing, it is so important that we use the power that we have to model the kind of behavior that we want to see. Kids look up to their parents and seek guidance from them, and this is what allows us parents to have such a big influence on our child's values and development, and essentially behavior as well. So when it comes to how to have a healthy outlook on the power that you do have, if you look at yourself as a guide or a mentor or a teacher who has disciples who love them and adore them and respect them and want to follow them, I think this helps you have an easier time to be a loving, warm, easily approachable parent, even though you are more powerful than your children. So if you're ever questioning if you have a healthy outlook on the power dynamic, you can ask yourself these questions. Do I value my child's autonomy and independence? Do I validate my child's feelings and point of view? Do I allow my child to make mistakes and also make decisions by themselves when that's feasible? Do I set boundaries and keep them? Do I explain why a boundary has been set? If you answered yes to at least most of these questions, you are on the right track. So you can either use the power that you have to create a system of control with tight grip on your kids, controlling or trying to control the behavior that they have, or you can have a deeper influence with connection, communication, respect, and also clearly communicated boundaries. And I think an important reminder is that being powerful is not a bad thing. Although it has been said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, it doesn't have to be that way with your kids. You can be a firm, boundary-setting parent while still being loving, caring, warm, easily approachable, safe, just a happy place for your children. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help this channel out. Also, if you would like to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell so you'll be notified when new videos are out. Also, if you think a fellow parent could really enjoy watching this video, make sure to send that to them. Thank you so much for being with me in this video, and I'll see you in the next ones. Bye!